You make wine from sour grapes. You got a flat pancake, hey, call it a crepe. When life gives you eggs, make an omelet. You get cola from a nut. A dirty worm makes silk from out of his butt. When life gives you eggs, make an omelet.
Well, good morning everybody and welcome back to AppCraft for day 4 of Ready Steady Cook. And today it's the turn of Irena to provide the food items for our meal tonight. As you'll see, I'm wearing one of my quieter Ghanaian shirts today. I do have louder ones. I'll probably wear a louder one on Friday, which will be highly appropriate because that for us is dress up Friday rather than dress down Friday. But you'll have to wait and see for that. So let's, without further ado, let's see what ingredients Irena has brought us today to cook with. So first up, we have courgettes, tomatoes, carrots, eggs, and cheese. And as it just said cheese, I bought both some hard cheese and some soft cheese. So that's Irena's ingredients. To that, I'm going to add some cabbage, some mayonnaise, a little bit of mayonnaise, some mustard, a few capers, 1 onion, a bit of garlic, some butter, some sugar, some maple syrup, olive oil and vinegar, and then finally a bag of flour. So, and then yes, and sorry, and also then for the herbs and spices, I'll be using some coriander, some thyme, some chili, cardamom, cinnamon, garam masala, smoked paprika, celery salt, celery seeds, mint and ginger. So lots of herbs and spices today. And did you recognize the music? Probably not. It was called Make an Omelette from the flop musical Something Rotten, which I don't think anybody's ever heard of anymore. So I hope today's not rotten, but we are sort of in omelette territory today. But before that, what I first plan to do as a first course is a spicy tomato soup. And that's where most of the spices will end up. Then following that, we will have a frittata, which is similar to an omelette, served with a carrot and courgette coleslaw. And then for dessert, we're going to have a carrot cake cheesecake. We couldn't decide whether to do carrot cake or to do a cheesecake, so we're going to have a fusion cake of carrot and cheese. So you may ask, why am I doing an Italian frittata rather than a French omelette? The basic answer is we're quite hungry today, and so in a frittata you can put 3 eggs, 4 eggs, as many eggs as you want. But in an omelette, 1 egg is enough. 1 egg is enough. 1 egg is enough. Get it? Let's see Irena's ingredients.
Cooking in the kitchen of love.
Okay, so let's get on and make our hot and spicy tomato soup. So this is going to start very much the same way as our recipes on Monday did, with a mirepoix. As I say, the base of all good soups and stocks. So we have the carrots, which Irena gave us. We have an onion, which we borrowed. And rather than celery, we're going to use some of the courgette, which Irena has given us. Cut them all into tiny pieces, cook them off for 20 minutes. And then in the last 5 minutes, add some chopped garlic as well. Then, once that's cooked off, we'll chop the tomatoes into small pieces and put them into the pan with the mirepoix so that cooks off. Cook that for about 10 minutes, I would suggest, just so that the water from the tomatoes evaporates a bit. Then we're going to add our herbs and spices, and they will include smoked paprika, cayenne pepper, ginger, cumin, coriander, garam masala. I think that's about it. Stir them around so they're mixed up for a few minutes. Then take that pot off the stove. I'll stop cooking for a few seconds. While that's cooling down slightly, you can make some vegetable stock. I forgot to mention in the larder I also have a vegetable stock cube. Make up a half a pint or 250 millilitres of vegetable stock to be ready to use shortly. We go back to our pan with the tomatoes and the mirepoix and the spices. Put that all into the blender. Blitz that down so everything's mixed up now. And the tomatoes, so you've got a nice thick tomato, almost a passata mixture. And then to that, add as much or as little of the stock as you want, really. Depends how thick you like your soup. But in any event, put the stock in, give it a stir, and then cook it for probably another 20 minutes so that all the flavours come. Oh, very importantly, one extra item I forgot to mention is a very special hand sanitizer which is produced in Portugal. It's matured in oak barrels and has extra grape spirit and all sorts of stuff. It's very good. I don't know why they put sanitizer in these strange containers, but there we are. Yeah, that will definitely go well. So that's basically it. So cook that down for 20 minutes or so, so that it reduces, some of the water evaporates, and everything gets a deeper, richer flavour. So basically, that's our tomato soup. Sorry, the Portuguese sanitizer went down the wrong way there. So now we're going to do a frittata. Frittata, as I say, it's the same idea as an omelette. There are differences. You can't really have a plain frittata. Frittata has to have an ingredient of some sort beyond the eggs. You can cook it in a pan the same way as an omelette, or, as we're going to do today, you can cook it, you can bake it in the oven. And what you certainly don't do is flip it over. So in a way, it's a cross between an omelette and a crustless quiche, if you like. But that's the basic difference between the two. So we're going to do carrot and courgette frittata. You can prep the ingredients in a number of ways. What I'm planning to do today is grate the carrot, but then I'm going to very thinly slice the courgette. And I'm going to pre-cook the courgette for 5 minutes, just so it gets slightly brown. And I'm also going to do the same with a bit of onion, pre-cook that as well. The grated carrots you don't need to pre-cook. Then I'm going to, in a separate bowl, I'm going to put in some breadcrumbs, some cheddar cheese, which we've got here, a little bit of cream cheese, some chopped capers, some crushed garlic, some mint, some celery salt, and then basically blitz all of that in a blender for half a minute. And then in a separate bowl, we're going to whisk the eggs. I think probably going to use 4 today, but that should be enough for the 2 of us. With a little bit of milk. Whisk them thoroughly. Whisk them longer than you would do if you were making scrambled egg or an omelette. Try and beat them to get a bit more air into the mixture if you can. So then we add the blitzed ingredients from the blender, the breadcrumbs and the capers and all of that. Add that into the egg mixture, and then also add in the pre-prepared onion, courgette and carrot. Give it a good mix round, and then pour it into a suitable oven dish. I think we're going to use like a flan dish for it tonight. Pop that in the oven, fairly low temperature. It should be ready, I would think, in about 40 minutes. and you should have a nice browned frittata. So that's 2 dishes down, 2 to go. Time for some gratuitous violence, I think. Okay, so 2 down, 2 to go. The 2 dishes which I've got left to do, one I can assure you is much easier and less complex than the other. And that's the first one we're going to do, which is basically a simple coleslaw. So for that, we're going to grate some carrots. We're going to grate some courgette. That's also where the cabbage will come in. We'll add some grated, finely sliced cabbage as well. So sliced cabbage, grated courgette, grated carrot. That's our base for the coleslaw mix. And then for the dressing, we'll get some of the mayonnaise, a little bit of mustard. We'll add a little bit of maple syrup. Then we'll add some celery seeds, little black celery seeds. Mix that all up together so that's well blended. Pour the mayonnaise, mustard, syrup mixture over the raw vegetables. Just mix them up and pop them in the fridge for an hour to chill. If you want to use less mayonnaise, you could substitute it for some kind of yogurt if you want a lighter, less rich, or indeed less calorific version of it. But you know, it can be 50-50, or you can make it 100% with mayonnaise if you want. So that's the easy one. That's the coleslaw. Then our final dish today is a carrot cake cheesecake. Couldn't make up my mind. I'm not going to go through all the steps in making a carrot cake. It's basically almost the same as making the banana cake we did on Monday, except instead of bananas, you're putting in carrots. That's pretty much the only difference. But prepare the mixture as if you were going to make and bake a carrot cake. Then put that aside. And in a separate bowl, we're going to make the cheesecake. So for that, we're going to need some cream cheese, eggs, yogurt, and some sugar, ideally icing sugar, if you've got icing sugar. Mix those ingredients all up together separately, and then get yourself a cake tin or a baking tin, preferably one of those where you can unclip them so that you can separate it when it's done. And what we do is we put in basically 2/3 of the carrot cake mix, then half of the cheesecake mix, then the last third of the carrot cake mix, and then the last half of the cheesecake mix. Now, apart from the top layer, the rest really don't matter. It doesn't matter if they get all a bit, you know, you don't have to be precise in the layers, because actually it's quite good if they mix them inside. But on the top layer of the cheesecake mix, try and flatten that out so it looks reasonably presentable. And then we put that in a very cool oven, as low as it will go almost, and try and cook it for about an hour, if you can. If it's starting to look like it might brown on top, or even if it's not, because by the time it looks like it is, it's probably too late, cover the top of the tin with some aluminium foil, and that will hopefully stop it burning on top. As I say, after an hour, then take it out of the oven, leave it in the container, in the cake tin, let it cool down in the kitchen, and then when it's cooled down, put it in the fridge. And ideally, it should have 3-4 hours in the fridge. You can even do it the day before and have it overnight in the fridge. It's probably even better to do it that way. And then once it's chilled properly in the fridge, just open up the tin, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it won't fall apart. And what you'll have is a layered carrot cake cheesecake, carrot cake cheesecake. We'll see what it looks like when it comes out. So I think that's it for today. Thank you very much. We'll play you out with the song, which was the #1 hit in the UK, the month that my elder of 2 sisters was born. That's Jackie. So this is for Jackie.
If I knew you were coming out to bake the cake, bake the cake, bake the cake. If I knew you were coming out to bake the cake, how'd you do, how'd you do, how'd you do? Had you dropped me a letter, I'd have hired a band.